Okay, so I want to talk about creativity and forgiveness. I was in meditation today and the word forgiveness came through. And also, I pulled an oracle card that showed me that there's some forgiveness that needs to happen, right? And I was like, okay, I felt like the forgiveness, it was definitely for people in my life in past, but it was really forgiveness for myself. And so then I was like, I need to do some tapping, which is like EFT when you tap on your points in your body and it helps like move energy around and like release blocks. And the EFT that I was drawn to was creativity, around my creativity. And then I was like, wait, creativity and forgiveness are the same and they are interconnected. And this is the message that was coming through. You're probably stopping yourself from being creative and putting your ideas, thoughts, creative projects out there, even just starting it, because there's this subtle and not so subtle belief that I messed up, I hurt people, I hurt myself, and I'm gonna be judged for being this in this newer version, this newer season of myself. If I put this work out, it shows that I'm a fake, I'm a fraud. And there's like this shame that's embedded when you're having a hard time being creative. Now, there's layers to this, right? Like there are other things, but this was coming through me and something I needed to hear for myself. There are many times in my life that I've held myself back from things or held myself back from saying things, and like the wisdom and knowledge that I've learned now, because I felt like, well, who am I to say this, to teach this, to provide this form of creative expression when I haven't always, acted out in my highest consciousness, my highest good, right? And so I started to just like watch some supportive videos to kind of help me understand this more and like why this happens. And I looked at Eckhart Tolle, and something he was saying was like, our ego takes on our past mistakes like our identity, even at our own expense. So the ego takes on things to help protect us, and some of those things tend to be things that literally are hurting us, right? And your past mistakes are not your identity. They don't define you. And what he goes on to say is those were manifestations of your past mistakes were manifestations of you acting out in your unconsciousness when you didn't know better, simply put. And the fact that you know better right now, the fact that you're aware and you can sit here and be like, damn, I feel like I shouldn't be doing this, or who am I to do this because I did that? That's your own self-awareness identifying like, oh, I was acting out in my unconscious at that time and I hurt that person, or I hurt myself. And that really helped me a lot to like release some of that energy of guilt and shame that when you look back at your life and times that you acted out. And then also on top of that, we live in a society that like glorifies shame. And I'm not saying that we can't hold each other responsible for our actions, and uplift each other as much as we can and say, hey, this, this hurt me, or hey, I'm noticing you're doing this and it appears that it's hurting you, Like, I think that we do have a responsibility for one another, particularly with whatever, your personal relationships are, your relationship with yourself, your own community, and whatever that looks like for you. But your mistakes don't define you. And it does take work. It takes a lot of self-awareness, and once you're aware, tools to release. And some of the things that I've done, it's like EFT tapping. You can look on YouTube for that. I've also, I meditate for 15 minutes in the morning daily. I pray. I take walks. It really depends on the day, and kind of like, I have my toolbox of things that I go to, but it depends on the day and what I'm working through, and like to how deeply emotional or like the attachment is to what I'm going through. Some things call for different tools. But I want to say all this, I'm saying all this to say that your creativity is tied to your shame, and you might be holding back right now because you've taken on shame from things that you did in your past when you were acting out of your unconscious of what you didn't know at that time and the tools that you had. And also, there's inherited shame. There's people shaming you, and holding on to those things that you've done. And we all do it, You probably are, have something that you've held on to someone else that did something to you in the past. But when we look at it from, that's how they were acting out their unconscious. That's not, it doesn't mean anything about me, and it doesn't identify, it doesn't mean that that's their identity. Now, obviously, boundaries, right? This is why everyone's talking about boundaries: energetic, emotional, mental, physical boundaries, spiritual boundaries, because it doesn't necessarily mean you need to re-engage with people if they're not safe people to be engaging with, or just not in resonance with who you are and who you are now and where you're going. So you have to be discerning on that, and you learn that through trial and error and life experience. But this is me telling you, if there's someone you need to forgive, if there's something you need to forgive within yourself, ask your elevated guides, your elevated angels, guides, ancestors, whoever, to support you in releasing this. And you don't have to do this by yourself. The universe is here to help you, and there are tools to help you do that. I'm not saying you need to go and talk to everybody and say, you hurt me and do this. If that's what you feel like you need to do, and it's like makes sense for the situation and it feels safe for you, fine. But it's also just like doing that work within yourself. Start with yourself first. Start with forgiving yourself first and releasing some of that energy that you've been holding on to for all these years. And the fact that you're aware of it now is the start of it. That means that you're ready to release it. It takes practice. It takes time. This is a journey. It's not linear. Some things you may feel like you release and they come back in other ways. But forgiveness and creativity commingle with each other, because at the root of it is like that guilt and shame for things that you've done or things you've held on to from your environment that need to come out and be released, so you can allow your creative flow to happen. Forgive yourself. Work to forgive yourself. And my spiritual mentor told me, she said, you're healing on the job, You don't need to wait until you're fully healed, because it's not going to happen. You're not going to be fully healed. You don't need to wait to be creative. Allow your creativity to grow. Start somewhere. Start at your capacity and keep building and building as you're healing. Heal on the job. I am a reflection of you, and I'm telling you this because these are things that I'm working through within myself, and it has helped me to be able to use my voice more, to express myself more, and just to be myself. I was out here dancing, child. Like, people are walking past. I was so nervous. But this is a part of me reclaiming my creativity, releasing shame around who I am, the decisions I've made in the past, and reclaiming all of that and transmuting it into creative expression in hopes that it will go out into waves, like it will peer out into the world as waves and support you and help others to express themselves and to show you that you can be healing on the job. You can be releasing shame, forgiving, not forgiving, being angry, being sad, mad, joyful, excited. You can be all of these things at once and still commit to your creativity. I hope this helps you, and talk to me in the comments. I'm just curious on what your thoughts are about this. Cheers to you, honey. You got this.